Alright, so all of our images have been captured. So now what we're going to do is go through and stitch them together. These particular slides are actually being photographed for a client's interest. So I went ahead and I took a few more images at higher magnifications. So using the micro kit with the 50x objective and the 20x objective. For most geological specimens, 100x is way too much magnification. It's not usually necessary. By that point, you're resolving basically smaller details than crystals grow. So it's usually a pretty unnecessary objective, so we didn't do that. But what I'll now do is show you how to move through and batch process all of the finished data. So that data was being stored here, and now you can see we have several photographs in plain light, so 1, 5, 10, 20, and 50x optics of the first sample, and then repeating for the same sample in polarized light, and then again applied to the second sample. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of that data, so we'll go to options, or sorry, batch, show batch dialog, and we're going to drag all of those all of those files right over to here. And then we're going to change where the images are being stored. So we're going to take, actually here I think what we're going to do is we're just going to save in the source folder. It's easier, and that way the titles are, we don't mix up the images. So we'll save those right in the source folders, and then we're going to change our options here. We just want to check and make sure they're good. So all of our settings are okay, which they are. And then we're going to add PMAX. So this is the stacking function. So we'll save this batch to the queue. We're all set up. There's no other batches to add to this queue, so now we can start to run. We can just close this dialog, and now what we'll do is we'll allow these images to stitch. So these are going to render images that are fully in focus. And what I can do here is, again, I can just enlarge the screen so you can kind of see and get a sense for quality. Even at 1x magnification, where we're getting the entire slide in context, you can see we have some great detail present in our plain light photo. So the focal planes are going to sort of propagate from here, the lower right hand corner, and move through the slide up to the upper left hand corner. But you can start to see how the detail is coming into play. So even at 200%, we'll scroll down, you can see the air bubbles in the resin around this slice of rock. So again, like I said, what we'll do is we'll let this process through, sort of change our screen here so you can watch how this is going to work. We'll speed it up, and then we'll meet up afterwards, and then I'll describe how you can go about post-processing these photos and applying and adding scale bars to them as well. Okay, so the batch execution is done. So now what we're going to do is go back into our folder here. And one thing we could do is just rename the final output images if we would like. So one thing you could do is just copy or edit address, copy, and then just rename the final image the name of the folder. So we'll just pull that out, delete those, and we're going to move this one back there. Likewise here, we'll just pull this one into high res, back to high res, and we're just going to go through and we're just going to rename the files so that they're all named appropriately. So that's all of our files renamed. These are all of the output photographs. So we have the first 5 of the first sample in plain light, so 1x, 5x, 10x, 20x, and 50x. And then we have the same images in polarized light, so 1x, 5x, 10x, 20x, and 50x. And then we have sample 2, all plain light, so 1x, 5x, 10x, 20x, and 50x, and then likewise in polarized light. So we don't need these source files anymore. They serve no further significance to us, so we're going to go through and we're just going to delete those. We can close out Zreen Stacker. We no longer need to do any focus stacking. And let's go ahead and open up these images within Photoshop. So I think if you just highlight them all, double click. Okay, somehow I just set that as my my background. So whatever, we'll just leave that like that for now. Still getting used to PCs. Okay, so that's going to open up. We have all of our photos. The other thing we want to do now is we just want to get our scale bars ready. Oh, that they didn't all open up. Let's try. Well, let's go back. Let's change my desktop background here. Okay, we've restored order. Okay, now let's go back and we're going to open all these up in Photoshop. And just click each one. Okay, so they're going to be opening. I'm going to navigate to the desktop where I have our scale bars stored. So this is the scale bar suite. So here is all of our optics. And then what we're going to do is just refer to the orientation and then also select a color that gives us really nice contrast. So we just happen to be, let's just go to sample 1. We're going to do the 1x magnification. And what we'll do is we'll just tag all of the 1x's. So we'll start with the 1x black. And you just want to resize it so that the resolution is paired properly. And then you can move it anywhere you want. Press enter. And then we'll go down to the next 1x sample. So this is the polarized light, and this one, because we have a black background, because it's been polarized, we're going to do white. So again, resize it to make sure that it's scaled appropriately to the camera's sensor. Yep, we're going to continue to do this until all scale bars have been added. Okay, so all the 1x, now we're going to go back through and we're going to do all the 5x. Okay, well, now we're going to move on to the 10x. So this is where we're going to have some onset of vignetting. Now this is actually kind of extreme vignetting for what should have happened. I think that's because what happened, the thin sections here are quite thick. Thicker, almost 3 times as thick as the standard thin section. These samples came from China. I don't know if that's standard there or not. But this is a bit more extreme than what you can expect. And I think it could also be just because the slide was elevated a bit. But one thing we're going to do is after you've applied your scale bar and you're good, you're confident that it fits, then it's as simple as just doing a standard image crop, which is what we're going to do here. So basically you can see I've got the image, I have my scale bar, it's already inset. So now we'll just do a crop, and what you want to do is just match the original ratios resolution. And you just want to drag your box just to remove that vignetting. And there you go. So that's what we're going to end up doing on all of these. It's best to avoid vignetting if possible, but yeah, it seemed like there was something about that particular these particular samples that really, for some reason, it's a bit more more obvious in here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're just going to finish adding the scale bars and repeating this process for all of our samples. Okay, so that's scale bars added to all of our photos. So now what we could do is just bring this back up to full screen and we can start processing these images. So just edit them as we ordinarily would. So the first thing we're going to do is just merge all the photos. So merge the scale bar into the image. And then what we can do is start doing some minor post-processing. If we want, we could do smart sharpens, press OK. We could do some contrast adjustments, not too much. I think here we don't even need to touch the levels. We'll touch curves a little bit. And what we're going to do is just press save. Okay, and then we're just going to do that one by one. So again, we're going to do a sharpen, which is the smart sharpen. So first we want to do again, we just want to merge our layers here. We'll do the sharpen. Now the smart sharpen, you can just repeat. What it's doing is it's smoothing out the noise, and it's also sharpening some of the contrast details. So it's a very subtle change, but what it does is it smooths out the entire photo. As long as you do it on a level of about 10% or less, then what you want to do is smooth out the noise at about 40%. And that's going to give you a really, really great result. Again, we're just going to do curves, slightly modify contrast. So what's dark, darker, what's light, lighter. And we're going to do this to every single sample, and then we'll have our final images. But all in all, this is the process in terms of post-processing your images after using the petrographic analyzer. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. And if there's anything we can do for you, just go ahead and contact Macroscopic Solutions.